Hey, what's up, guys? We got a game here from yesterday's stream where I really figured out how I can play against Groot and have it not be such a hard counter to Emma. At least I could try to do this, and it might work sometimes. So what ended up happening in this game, I typically ban Groot. As you can see here, I'm trying to ban Groot, but the Psylocke wants to ban Hulk, and then our Iron Fist banned Luna, and they counter with an Iron Fist ban from the Luna ban, I'm guessing. So we pretty much know that the Groot's coming out. We're deciding to play Emma anyways, and the reason why is because I feel like Emma is my best character, and even if I'm playing against a counter to that character, if the counter is even somewhat playable, I would still rather play Emma than something that I'm less familiar with. And I think this is an important thing to recognize. You need to recognize how powerful you are on a character and how powerful the enemies are on their characters. I could play Strange here, but if I play Strange, then I'm not as familiar with Strange, and he's just weaker than Emma. So let's say Emma is like 100% power right now. Strange might only be at 60%. So if I'm only, if I can't utilize even the max power that Strange has, then I'm still better off on Emma. That's the kind of consideration you have to have when you're evaluating when you should be switching characters. I think the whole having 4 or 5 characters that you play is kind of nonsense, to be honest. I think you should play most of the roster. You just need to know when to play those characters. And then practice the ones, get them to a playable level. If you can get 60% out of most of the roster, and you have, 8 to 9 that are at 70%, and then 4 or 5 which are at 80 or 90%, that is what I would consider a well-rounded roster. And as you play the game longer and get more familiar and maybe focus on things one season as compared to another season, it'll get better and better. So this is one of the key moments in the game. I get walled off by the Groot. So I'm playing into the Groot counter, but I still die to it on the first push. So I'm now reevaluating again whether or not I want to switch off of Emma. I decide to stick with it for the reasons that I just talked about and try to adjust my playstyle instead. So you see, I'm gonna be way more careful about my spacing now. I'm not gonna push up too far. I'm gonna be checking behind me to see if my teammates are close to me or how far away I push from them. It's all, that's what being a Vanguard is about, is taking space, knowing when to push, when not to push. And this kind of game really highlights it, because if I mistime a push, then I get hard punished by Groot. So sometimes it's just good to play into your counters to elevate your gameplay even further. Groot has kind of learned at this point, I'm guessing, that the crystals do a lot of damage, because I had a couple crystals that got him down to like 20%. So now he's adjusted his playstyle to that, where now he's walling off crystals, but that's even more advantageous for me because it gives me cycles to push on him. And he's, I'm forcing him to use an ability that he's not going to be using for another situation. So we recognize that Groot is dead. We're going to take this position. I think once you get into Platinum and Diamond, you find that a lot of people know where the fights are going to happen. You can see we push up to this first corner, and now we're pushing up to the next corner, and it's all about going corner to corner, because if you're a good DPS, you just know to use a corner to break sightlines in between your shots when you need to, which is most of the time. So now we're playing this entrance, which is a thing that happens a lot on these maps. We play these entrants. We recognize that Groot's not at the fight, can't wall off our ult, so we pop the ult, we force him into this upper right corner, and we get the Moon Knight ult. And now we can just tempo off of it. There's 3 dead, so we're trying to create value on Groot. I do kind of play this too aggressively, and I get walled off, but I get saved by my cloak. So evaluate that as yourself. It's probably a mistake on my part. This sequence ends up working out very well for us, but that might just be based on, it might be results-based analysis where it worked in this game, but in other games in similar situations, it might not play out that way. So I don't know if he's done it yet. No, he's still on Groot. But eventually we push this guy off of Groot. He switches to Magneto. And I'm not 100% sure if that is because he was trying to deal with something else on the team or he just wasn't getting the value on Groot into Emma because I was playing around it. You know, I didn't play this game perfectly. I made some mistakes. I pushed a little too far. But it's a great game. Games like this are great for learning limits of what you can do on a character and how to elevate that, especially into counters, because when you play into things that punish you very hard, you learn very quickly what you can and cannot do. So we're nearing the end of this point. We've been consistently pushing. We have 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Our Psylocke does get picked, but she gets rezzed, and now Groot's out of walls, and he's trying to block off the crystal. Bucky gets a great pull on him. We're able to put down a lot of pressure. Soul Bomb's going off, Rocket's going off. So I wanted to see if they popped another Rocket ult, or if it was the same one. No, they did pop another one. So this is probably when the next, yeah, there goes the next Rocket ult. We catch Groot, but Moon Knight Bucky combos onto him. Groot's dead. They're out of resources now. And now we have insane positioning and tempo on their doors. We're gonna make it very hard for them to get out. We're gonna put a lot of pressure on them while moving the cart forward. He doesn't switch to Magneto yet. I remember when he switches to Magneto. So we push the cart the full ways, and now we're switching sides. So we're setting up in a standard defense here where we have a DPS and a tank playing this corner, and then somebody on the off angle up above, and the healers behind. So the Bucky gets the pull into Groot, and he goes flying. I don't know how that happened. It was weird. Oh, it was probably a rocket boot, right? Yeah. The crystal does do a lot of damage to him. So I get walled off. I kick him. I recognize I'm walled off. I try to walk it back. I'm trying to break sight lines by walking into this corner. We're taking a lot of damage because they're playing a lot of long sightline characters. They see they have Black Widow, Hela, Mantis, Loki. And so Groot's really the only one that's even up near us. So there's an argument to be made that I should switch off Emma just based on that fact that I'm just kind of running the group. We do kind of get bopped by this long range. That is something that Emma is incredibly weak into, is long range characters, especially if there's some kind of meaty front line. The only problem with switching to something else here is, you know, you might want to play Strange here because of the shield, but you can't really, like, you can dart people from that long of range, but you're never gonna like really kill them. You could play Magneto here and it would be pretty good because he can interact with longer distance characters. You can see we're kind of confused upon how to push. I'm a little scared to push up into that choke and get walled off by Groot, but then I can't interact with the other characters. So we have kind of a, I don't even know what's going on in this fight, to be honest. Just feel like everybody kind of casted their ults. So Psylocke's in our back line. I'm trying to help her. Get a pick on Rocket. I decide that's good enough, and I try to walk back, but we die. We're back from being dead. We come out, and we're fighting this corner. So it's usually pretty strong with Emma to pop ult as you're rounding a corner. It just makes it harder for people to react to if they don't have the visual of Emma popping it, and they just have the audio cue. But Groot does wall it off. We get a little bit of picks. We force out their support ult, so I would say it's pretty worth it. The optimal play might have been just to play the neutral for a little bit and try to force out Groot walls before ulting, and then we could probably get a clean wipe, but you know, we played it out as a B where it could have been an A, but it worked. I don't know. Psylocke just, oh, she's looking for an ult angle. That's why she's playing up there. And then you'll see here in a second, we actually cancel Groot ult, and that's why he switches. So the Psylocke goes in and ult, separates the Groot dies. So maybe it's the next cycle we cancel him. And then I make another little playstyle adjustment here where I see the Black Widow and the Hela are popping out of this corner. So I'm going to play the right side now instead of the left side, and I'm going to try to control both chokes. It's a little bit riskier, but this is a really long sight line, and if we give up control, we have to fall back to the next corner. So Groot's going to start pushing, and you see we cancel his ult. It's a little unfortunate that I canceled his ult and both of my support ults were popped, but you know, good reaction time from them, but we should have communicated beforehand who was going to ult first. That's the number one communication I hear from good supports is they always say, like at the beginning of the match, either the beginning of the match or when they recognize that both ults are synced up, they say, hey, you should ult first. Hey, I should ult first. Hey, I'm going to ult first. So tip for you support mains out there or support players. So he switches to Magneto. Emma is pretty neutral into Magneto because you can see he'll bubble the kick. Decent Magneto is always going to bubble that kick if he has it. And his bubble is actually a shorter cooldown than her diamond form. So Hela ults and we just have to play the retreat game. So I'm going to pop the ult again here. We're going to get Magneto. We could have gotten more if we had, like I said, that's one thing I can do on Emma better is I can try to notice shield cooldowns and wall cooldowns before I ult. We get Magneto, then we push a little too far, get slept, and we die. So we come back and we try to fight onto this corner. I kind of threw this point, to be honest, by pushing up like that and dying, but I was trying to get more value out of my ult. The pressure that my ult caused from Magneto being dead than that was actually possible, and I got punished for it. So I rocket ults to get us back into control of the point, essentially, and to get us out of that doorway. This doorway is incredibly hard to fight. That's why you see so many people they'll go top right or they'll go behind in the into the alleyway. I guess it would be top left from this side and top right, but you know, there's two other side alleyways into this cart. So we do end up just taking full control there and ending the game, winning 1-3. So I hope you enjoyed that replay and some thoughts I had about it. I learned some things from watching the VOD review, and I think it's important to test yourself against your counters and see what you can pull out of those types of games. So yeah, you can see here that the Groot Magneto player went 5-12 with 4 final hits, 10,000 damage, and 50,000 damage blocked. So he was eating up a lot of damage. And we had 9 final hits, 16,500 damage, and 31,000 damage blocked. There was a little bit of a DPS difference. They ran triple healer for a while, and our Moon Knight did pretty well. So did the Psylocke. The Punisher, not so well, but you know, he did his part. I always prefer 2-2-2 comps personally, but you know, you can win even if you don't have the perfect comp, even if you're against your counter, you know, just find a way to play around it. Really learn your character, that helps, and learn the enemy's character. I need to practice Groot, and I think if I do practice Groot, I'll have a better understanding of the Emma Groot matchup too. So thank you guys for watching, and peace.